So for any client website, there are a number of different types of pages that we produce. It could be a local landing page, which is specific to a geography. It could be a lead generation page designed primarily to generate leads, product page, which describes product, a product category page where there are multiple products listed like an e-commerce website, site information page that could be legal, about us, mission, vision, core values type of page, a blog article post, which is one of the most important pages of the website, homepage, a resource/guide page which contains lesson, list of resources, etc. So here could be an example. I've included some examples here of these pages, resource guide, etc. Feel free to take a look at some of these Ahrefs guides. So for example, while they are as blog posts, they also include, let's say SEO, this example. Now this is a resources page. You can't call this a blog post because it has chapters, lesson plans, elements, etc. here, right? So when you watch this page, you see this, it's a resources page. It contains resources level information. And then coming back here, blog category pages, where pages about a category are listed. An example of that could be here. This is technical SEO category in SEMrush blog. So this is a blog category page. Let it load. There we go. No, sorry, this is a blog post. My apologies. So when we go back here, let's go back here. This is going to show us category about category. Yeah, see category SEO. Now this is about a description about category. Some subcategories within there, the articles within that category are all listed here. So this is what you call a blog category page. So here is all the blogs in that category, including links to other subcategories versus, you see here. So all the blogs and then pagination. This is the blog category page. So if you keep going further down this page, sales letter is a long form sales letter, order page with sales copy, order page without sales copy. I've given some examples here that I'll include in this training. This training particularly is about blog article post. We will obviously be covering the rest of them, but a blog article post will be, I've included some examples here, and I've included a screenshot, and I've included some examples in this training also. So I hope that you enjoy this training, and yeah, let us know if there are questions. Okay, so in this video, we are going to look at two things, two types of blog posts typically, on what a great blog post looks like and what we should strive for as far as successful, productive, useful blog posts are concerned. Actually, you might look at a couple of more examples, but I'm just wanting to show you the elements of a good blog post. Clear headline and very interesting sort of a message that it is clear what the blog post is all about. Maybe an indicative image that refers specifically to what the blog post is about. So if you see, this is about influencer marketing, and this shows a Instagram style screen with love and all these sharing up buttons, icons, etc., showing an influencer is kind of coming out of a social media post. So particularly, yes, author name is important. How long will it take to read is important, and the date of the article is important. This is called a breadcrumb. This can be here or the breadcrumb could be here. It doesn't matter, but breadcrumbs are very helpful in social media, in search engine positioning, for the sake of building internal and external links. So you should always have breadcrumbs, and they help the user identify where they are in terms of the context of the article. Now, with that being said, every blog post will have articles, will have an introduction. That introduction could be something like this. Now, in some cases, if it's an extremely long blog post, you can do two things. People may or may not have time. You have to make this call with each blog post, whether you want to do a TLDR version. Now, just for the reference, what is TLDR? I'm going to type it here in case my accent is not very clear, but TLDR means this. TLDR is too long, did not read. So if you did not read, you should still be able to get some value out of this. Now, an article like this, where we are saying influencer marketing, what it is and how to build a solid strategy, you really can't have a TLDR version for something like this. So to help there, you have a table of content. So people can see exactly what is there in this article. Click on any one of them and you would be able to see exactly the answer you're looking for. So if it's a shorter blog post, which does not need 16-minute read, for example, if it was a 5-minute read and you wanted to send a TLDR, you might be able to. So it's important that the first section always covers what to expect. That's the introduction to your article. Then your article, of course, starts with your H2. Only one H1 per article. This is an H1, only one H1 per article. In one page, you cannot have more than one H1. Everything else will be H2, H3, etc. Now, this is an H2. Now, if I see here, there is a script I use to test the value of a in quality of a blog post. Now, you see this description. This is 172 characters. It could be slightly longer. Again, this is only indicative. Google does not really rely on these signals anymore, but that's okay. Canonical URL at the backend is important. I'm not going into the tool at the moment. 1H1, 8H2s, 12H3s. Very well structured. And overall, 6,000 words article. Great. Now, we are talking primarily about what all the content should be. So when you are explaining anything, whether it's H2 or in H3, etc., always use sentences that can be either done in at the most 4 lines, because your blog on the web or on the mobile phone will probably become even longer. Nobody wants to stare at a screen that is black text filled on white background. Think of a book on Kindle. How many times have you felt bored reading a book end to end? So blogs, because you want people to take an action instead of just read through, you want to make sure that that blog post is kind of, doing its job by keeping the user hooked. These are called pattern interrupts. Now let's keep going for a minute. The links are in different colors, so people can obviously click on it. This also helps in building external versus internal links. This link goes to socialmediatoday.com, a very high value site. So you are basically giving them an external link. Psychologist World, go to Psychologist World, which is an X site. You have quotes on the website, which is a pattern interrupt, obviously. I mean, of course, it's providing helpful information, but it keeps users' eyes from getting strained. It keeps users' eyes from getting tired, and therefore you keep giving them sort of an interesting proposition. Now, if you see, any sentence will not exceed any paragraph will not exceed 4 lines at best. Let's keep going. Images with some proof. You keep going further. Again, you see this 4, 3, 4 at best. Anywhere you go, there is nothing more than 4 lines. This is probably an H3. It's a part of what is influencer marketing is H2. So influencer versus word of mouth is H3. A part of influencer versus affiliate, H3. Influencer versus advocate marketing, H3, and shorter sentences, shorter forms, and enough space in between so people know when the breaks are coming. Keep going. Now H2 again, which is the second part, influencer marketing statistics you need to know. Now they have used bullet points so that there is pattern interrupt and you can keep reading. This is the third part, understanding different types of influencer, micro influencers, celebrity influencers, nano, then effective platforms and formats. So essentially what they're doing is they're explaining this, but this video is about what is a good quality blog post looking like. So a good quality blog post will have a story to tell. It'll have a beginning, it'll have a middle, and it'll have an end. As you can tell from here, the beginning is what is the stats, understanding effective platforms, rise, why, and how to build in 6 easy steps. So they have an end in how to build. They're taking it to logical conclusion by telling you. So anything typically always starts with this kind of a structure. Now, I'm not saying that this video should be a be all and end all about the context of an article. This is mostly about the technical aspects, the content of an article, and what it should appear like when we are considering it ready to be published. So keep going down. There are images, there are bullet points, there are again this. In this, they are breaking the pattern, by the way. If you see 5 sentences, not much I can do about it because this is in bullet points. So once or twice, it's okay. But for the most part, they're using only 4 lines per sentence, no more than that. Per paragraph, no more than that. But it's still useful. I would probably have wanted to see a couple more images somewhere, or at least 1 or 2 examples of tools that they are using. But by and large, it's okay. They are still using. See, there goes the examples. So they are telling you how to filter and all. So yes, images. If there is a process, then 1 sentence and an image, 1 sentence and an image is a great idea to use that way. Now, what does this image do? I don't know much, but I'm assuming this is again from the pattern interrupt because you've been watching this for a while. So you're using this again to break your pattern. Tracking, another image, keep going down, a note on disclosure. Now, this is your important information, and then this is your conclusion. This is the end of your story. That's kind of how the blog post is structured. Share links on social media should always be there on the site. Who wrote it, their image, their name, their social handles, their bios, brief profile should all be here. There may be some cases where you want to include their detailed bio, and I'll tell you where that is valuable. So that should be there. Signing up for an email list should always be there so that they're signing to your content. So that's basically what a blog post should always contain. Now, the header, etc., their website uses this kind of context, and that's fine. Some additional elements you could consider, and those are the ones that I'm going to show you here. Let's say this is a marketing website, related website. So let's talk about a blog post from their perspective. What does a blog post from their site looks like? In their case, they have one extra thing, which is a subheader. You see the subheader here? The blog here did not have a subheader, but over here they have a subheader. So sometimes it might be useful to tell people exactly why you're writing this blog post. Now this is a webinar, so I should not have clicked on this. Let's take a look at some other blog posts here. Okay, let's look at this one. The future of outbound marketing in an omni-channel stack. Let's take a look at this article here. I don't know if it's a webinar, I don't know if it's a content piece, but let's take a look. Now if you see, they have the breadcrumbs right here. They have the headline, subheadline, author, they have the date and the time to read, and they have social media share links. This is their introduction. Then they start current status or stats, etc. Then they keep going, and then you start to see all these things with images, text, similar patterns. If you see headline, subheadline, text, etc. Keep going further, more images, keep going down. After this, get Martech Daily free in your inbox. Sign up, and then opinions expressed. This is a standard disclaimer, which is okay. They are also using things like related stories. You may or may not want to use it. It doesn't matter. But I mean, it can help build external links. You want to keep the user hooked. Always have these links. And then about the author, social links, title, photo, description, and then related topics. So these are your core critical essentials for a blog post. Now, depending on what business your client is in, you might want to consider a blog post like HubSpot also. Now, ideally, I recommend that you have it for all the blog posts, because for small business, these are big businesses. They can afford not to offer lead magnets. But for a small business like the clients we service, it is important to consider a few more factors. What are those factors? Let's look at the HubSpot blog to figure this out. And in fact, a Shopify blog is also a great example. So I know I'm going back and forth here, but let's go to Shopify also. So here in this blog, what HubSpot does is a couple of some very good things here. Let's say how to create an effective customer journey map. This was done on 4th of May 2023. Now, HubSpot's blog, for the most part, is very tactical. They try and give you a lot of information. So when people see this, they obviously want to do this. While this blog was more informational, it had strategy. This is more tactical. So now when you do this kind of a blog, which is the HubSpot blog, because it's tactical, there is a call to action right off the bat. If you see on this page, the boldest color is an orange button, either on the right top or this, so that they know or they tell people that an action is available to them. They don't use a subheadline here. It's only the headline, which is fine. And then there is an intro. After the intro, the blog starts, but the lead magnet is again here. So in this case, they're also using in-content lead magnets. For a small business, we always recommend that if you're looking to grow business, and if you're creating a blog from the perspective of business, then always use lead magnets in between the blog posts. If you keep going down, once again, table of content, you see this here. Now, in the context of HubSpot, they can't effectively give you this information in one sentence or in the top introduction paragraph. So there has to be a TLDR / table of content version, which is here. Once you've done this here, keep going, same thing, same pattern, another lead magnet acquisition. So they are using multiple ways to generate leads. Test a bunch of them in your blog. You can have all of them also. It doesn't hurt. Customer is not going to get annoyed because you're not throwing pop-ups at them. You're simply showing them stuff. This thing also stays permanently on the right side. This thing is here. Keep going down. Download now. This is a download now. Then once again, keep going down. There is download now once again. Keep going down. Now you're suddenly content starts with bulleted list, subtitles, headlines, subheadlines, small, big, links, etc. So as you can see, the pattern interrupts are here. If nothing else, they've created a pattern interrupt here with a small block, and then they explain this part to you. So if you keep going down, HubSpot does something very interesting at the footer. And I'll show this to you here. Hold on 1 second. Once the article completes on HubSpot, here, we're almost there. The related articles, they show them like this in boxes. So people are automatically drawn to these articles. Don't forget to share this post, and the featured resource, once again, access now. So they must have had at least, if not more, 20 times offered you a lead magnet from the page. Now, because it's a value-driven article, tactical article, showing you how to do these things like a playbook, the lead magnet here makes all the more sense, because they know that anyone that's clicking on this article wants to do this. Now, if they are making their job easier, it's easier to generate lead. So this makes for a very good article. Now let's look at Shopify blog. Oh no, not this one. Sorry, wait 1 second. Shopify blog is the last example I want to show you to give you an example of a great blog post. What a great blog post looks like and what a great blog post should contain at all times, right? So let's go. Okay, let's take a look at again, most of their this thing also is tactical, but let's say this is the product introduction, articles of organization, starting a balance sheet purpose, how to read examples. Let's say this one, general blog post, right? It's not really tactical in a way. It's more informational. Balance sheet purpose, how to read examples, etc. Now, first of all, always remember the blog post should serve a purpose. The purpose is one of the 4 keyword intents. Now, I know I should have covered this earlier, but let's talk about it now. Informational, transactional, navigational, commercial intent. Ideally, your blog will have one of these 2 purposes. This is more of informational. Transactional would be, let's think of it tactical, how to do something. So now will you go back? They start here, balance sheet purpose. They're not using any subtitles, but they have the social media sharing links here, the author name here, the date here, and the time to read here. So these are crucial elements that should always be here. They're using breadcrumbs, which are crucial. They should be here. Most of these blogs that we have seen are using breadcrumbs on the top. So please make sure that when we use, okay, let's have breadcrumbs on the top as a default practice for all blogs we publish. There's a small header image, an introduction, and then a call to action right away. Click here to start selling online with Shopify. This has nothing to do with balance sheets, but a call to action. Then they're using a table of contents. Everyone uses a table of contents. So let's use table of contents for all the blogs. Then they start using H1, H2, H3, etc. Keep going. Pattern interrupts once again, 4 lines at best. Enough space in between for making readability easy. There are middle aligned text, bullet points, constant pattern interrupts. Nothing looks like a essay. They've got images. Download a free balance sheet template. Suddenly they have a lead magnet relevant to the content, and it's a link right from here. So they are asking you to download the lead magnet template also to get an email address from you. Keep going down. Manage your money with Shopify Balance. Shopify Balance, a free financial account. Wow. Another lead magnet for another product, and then related items here. Read more. So these are related, and then they bring FAQ. So what they have done is, after the content, they include FAQ in almost every blog that they write. So, and that's it. Social media sharing, join again this link here, and then join for a trial here. So every blog prompts action. Every blog is driven, so far that we have seen, is driven towards creating an action. So that's kind of the long and the short of what a good blog post should have. So once again, I'm going to also go back to my list here, which is what we were starting this conversation with. So when you look at this list, the editorial content should obviously check for the SEO, etc. But right now we are not talking about SEO for 2 reasons. 1, SEO takes time. 2, this training is not about SEO. And 3, I believe SEO will have less and less of an impact unless you really produce a very high value content. And you producing high value content will involve a lot of other things before we get into SEO side of things. So once you've done this, short paragraphs, headers, which is H1, H2, etc. 1 H1 only, followed by H2, H3, H4. Subheaders I've already covered. Quotes, bulleted, lists, bold, etc. So we've covered this. Images at every scroll depth at least once or twice. Charts if possible. Diagrams, photos with faces if possible. Now, one thing that we have not included is a call to action for follow, subscribe, download here. Call to action for follow, subscribe, download. So we included that. These should always be here. And then SEO checklist is here. We're not covering SEO here in theory, so I'm not going to cover this, but these items are here. So we have covered them for the most part. So this is what contributes or constitutes an amazingly great blog post. If you have questions, please ask me now. So a couple of things that we did not talk about here was, do these images have a click? These images should have a zoom link here. So when you click on it, they should not open a new window. They should simply zoom here and then close. Keep going. Images should not open a new page. Images should only offer a zoom if possible. It is useful By the way, alt text on images for SEO is a misnomer. It doesn't really, you don't require it. Yes, it was required decades ago. It does not make any difference to your search engine ranking whether you have alt text on images or not. With especially AI being able to produce images, read images, do you really think Google needs you to specify what the image contains? Ideally, the images were when there were slow internet connections and people used to browse with images disabled so they could see what the image was instead of the image on an alt text. Today, no one has that small an internet connection that they can download image. So I'm not talking about technical work here that images should be a particular size or not, but whenever you use images, if they have to be zoomed, you should be able to zoom them. So that's something that we did not cover earlier that we should talk about. There was a couple of more things that we did here, which was internal links, external links. Yes, be sure to have internal links to the web. So like this one links to an internal link to SEMrush. Always have a lot of, as much as possible, internal links and as much as possible external links. While I'm inclined to say that you can have, there is no maximum on these links. Be reasonable. Don't make so many links that people become confused that, okay, what do you want me to read, the article or the bloody links? So don't add so many links as well, but use links wherever judiciously possible so that it makes sense for search engines to go through. Then we are talking about a few of these. Yes. So they contain a lead magnet. Pop-up if you want to. Ideally, if you notice all the websites that we saw, none of them had a pop-up, which is interesting. But they all had so many lead magnet interfaces that we could have a footer-based lead magnet, we could have a sign-up form, we could have a right bottom, we could have a number of lead magnets. Like you could, in this context, look at, and let's just count for a minute. Okay. So there is lead magnet 1, then there is 2, there is 3, keep going down. I'm talking about call to action for the lead magnet. I'm not even including links here, right? So we are at 3, right? Keep going down. So after 3, they take it easy. They include a video, by the way. This is what I was saying. They also include a video which they talk about this and they include the video within this also. Keep going down. Let's say this one, 4 on the right side. I'm not going to count further now. 4. Customer journey template. Download them today. 5. Interactive future state template 6, get interactive service blueprint 7. So these are all lead magnets, right? They are basically adding 8. So almost 8 or 9 times they're asking people to get different things. So it doesn't always have to be just one lead magnet. You could have multiple lead magnets. And that's an interesting point to cover, that when you are kind of thinking about the article from that perspective, how many lead magnets can you actually include here? Now, I'm pretty sure HubSpot will also link to third-party websites somewhere here so that they have external links and not just internal links on their blog. Let's see, image source links to a .com.au website. So download them. This is only HubSpot. Increasing a customer retention rate, investpro.com. You see this investpro.com. So this is going to a third party link. 33% customer goes to getfeedback.com. Proactive customer service goes to HubSpot. Customer service surge goes to HubSpot. Customer service strategy goes to HubSpot. So they're using the keywords for their own website wherever they can, and they're creating these links. So important to have these links, obviously. Image source. This is also an interesting way to get images on third-party website. Give them a link from here so they get a link from you, and yet you just use them as an image source. So that's kind of how a blog makes a lot of sense. If you're not producing images, do them from a third-party source. Just give them the credit here, and then this is again going to HubSpot, market development strategies. So they use most of them as keywords into their own this thing. This is going to carrybodine.com for customer journey maps. So you see, this is kind of how they are doing this. And they are basically making a great blog post which has all the elements of a successful and a great blog post.